Before you learn any history, the ceremony teaches you with sound. The kettle's thin song, the soft scrape of cloth, a wooden lid placed down without force, the hush of sleeves moving through air, even the pause after a bow's silence shaped like respect. Tea trains the ear the way it trains the hand. It makes you aware that modern life is not only busy, it is loud. And when the room becomes quiet, you realize how much noise you are carrying inside your body. A kettle begins to sing. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a thin, living sound like winds passing through reeds. Light falls across tatami mats. A scroll hangs on the wall. Ink brushed into a few deliberate characters. A single flower leans in a vase, as if it chose that angle on purpose. And in the center, a bowl. Its rim is uneven. Its glaze carries tiny hills and valleys where the fire once moved. It is not perfect, and yet it feels complete, like an object that has already accepted the truth that beauty does not require symmetry. This is the Japanese tea ceremony Chanoyu Shido, the way of tea. A ritual that turns a simple drink into a world. A practice that turns a room into a lesson. A tradition that treats attention as something sacred. To someone seeing it for the first time, it can look like slowness for its own sake. Why wipe a scoop that is already clean? Why fold cloth with such care? Why turn a bowl before drink exactly so? Why does a host spend so much time preparing a moment that lasts only minutes? Because the tea ceremony is not a performance for an audience. It is a conversation without many words, a choreography designed to make the ordinary feel meaningful, a way to build calm one gesture at a time. And in a world that rarely stops moving, the ceremony asks a quiet question. What if stillness is not the absence of life, but a deeper kind of living? Tea is carried through lineages and schools Imoto, traditions where technique is preserved and taught across generations. Different schools emphasize different details: how a cloth is folded, how a bowl is presented, how the room's mood is shaped. To an outsider, these differences can look like rules for rules' sake. But inside a long tradition, detail is how care is protected. A practiced form removes uncertainty. It keeps attention free. It allows a host to focus not on what do I do next, but on what does this moment need. And because tea has multiple schools, tea remains alive. Nuance is a sign of survival. Tea came to Japan from China, carried by monks and travelers. At first, it was medicine, a tool for alertness and discipline, a bitter green drink used to stay awake for study and meditation. Over centuries, tea moved from monasteries into elite culture. It became associated with gatherings, priceless art objects, poetry, and displays of taste. At times, it became pure spectacle, rare bowls, treated as trophies, meetings as competitions of wealth. And yet, within that world, a quieter desire kept appearing. Sincerity. That desire is what the philosophy of wabi-sabi speaks to. Wabi, a beauty that does not insist on being loud. Sabi, a beauty that comes from time patina, where the soft truth that nothing stays new. The ceremony we recognize today was shaped by many hands, but one name stands like a landmark. Sen no Rikier. Rikier lived in the 16th century, during a time of warlords and brutal power struggles. Yet he insisted tea could be something different from status, something rooted in humility. He sharpened an aesthetic of simplicity and restraint, not as less, but as enough. A refusal to confuse luxury with meaning. Tea also absorbed influences from Zen, mindfulness, presence, attention to the moment as it is. Over time, the tea room became a space where social rank could soften, where swords were left outside, where a guest entered through a small doorway that forced everyone powerful or not to bow. Tea became a path. Not only a drink, not only an event, but a discipline you practice across a lifetime. And like any discipline, music, calligraphy, martial arts style forms exist for a reason. A violinist practices scales, not because scales are music, but because scales make music possible. In the same way, tea's procedures are practiced so that, on the day of a gathering, technique can disappear and care can remain. The host purifies the tools with focused, deliberate movements. Each action is an anchor, pulling the mind back from distraction. The scoop, the whisk, the bowl, are treated with a reverence usually reserved for sacred objects. The host isn't just cleaning them, they are honoring the role these objects play in creating this shared moment. This isn't about speed, it's about presence. Then comes the water, poured from the kettle. The sound changes as it hits the powdered green tea or matcha at the bottom of the bowl. The host begins to whisk, a quick, precise motion, turning the water and tea into a frothy, vibrant liquid. The scent of fresh matcha fills the small space. It's an earthy, grassy aroma that feels both energizing and calming. The bowl is then offered to the guest of honor. The guest bows, takes the bowl, and rotates it slightly in their hands. This gesture is a sign of respect, turning the front of the bowl away from their own lips. They drink, taking in not just the tea, but the entire atmosphere, the quiet, the focus, the shared stillness. After a few sips, they wipe the rim where their lips touched and pass the bowl to the next guest. The bowl moves from person to person, a silent connection between everyone in the room. What's happening here is more than just drinking tea. It's a practice of Ichigo Ichie, a phrase that translates to one time, one meeting. It's the understanding that this exact gathering with these specific people, in this specific room, at this specific moment, will never happen again. Every element from the flower in the vase to the light in the room is part of a unique, unrepeatable experience. The ceremony is an act of honoring that uniqueness. And so, the tea ceremony becomes a kind of training. It trains you to notice the beauty and imperfection, the wabi-sabi of a handmade bowl. It trains you to find meaning in simple, deliberate actions. It teaches you that focus isn't about blocking the world out, but about letting one part of it in, completely. It reminds you that in a culture of constant noise and stimulation, silence can be a profound gift. The tea gathering ends, as quietly as it began. The host cleans the tools, the movements mirroring the beginning of the ceremony. The guests express their gratitude, not just for the tea, but for the shared time. The way of tea isn't about escaping the world. It's about learning how to live within it, with more awareness, more gratitude, and a deeper appreciation for the quiet moments that connect us. It shows us that true richness isn't found in what we own, but in what we are able to truly notice. And sometimes, all it takes is a single bowl of tea to remind us. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the way of tea. If this exploration of stillness and attention resonated with you, consider subscribing for more stories like this. See you next time. To understand the tea ceremony, don't start in the room. Start outside. Traditionally, guests approach the tea house through a garden path called the roji, dewy ground. It is not a decorative garden meant to impress. It is a transition, space and emotional corridor. Stones are placed with intention. Greenery is quiet. The air feels cooler, even when the day is warm. As guests step from stone to stone, their bodies automatically slow down. Their feet begin to measure the world carefully. And that carefulness becomes a kind of meditation. There may be a simple gate. Crossing it signals a change in mindset. From everyday concerns to ritual attention. Often guests pause at a stone basin called as they crouch, literally lowering themselves and rinse hands and mouth. It is practical. Yes, it is also symbolic. A small purification before entering a space where every detail matters. Along the roji, guests may wait together at a bench or small shelter. Conversation naturally drops in volume. This pause is not wasted time. It is a meaningful interval between actions. Modern life treats between as a problem. We fill silence. We avoid waiting. We rush to the next thing as if the next thing will rescue us from ourselves. The roji does the opposite. It allows the mind to settle before the ceremony begins. It offers a gentle instruction. Do not drag the outside world into the room. Step B. Step stone by stone. Breath by breath. By the time guests reach the tea house, they are not just physically present, they are prepared. Not every tea gathering is the same. A chakai is a simpler tea gathering, often shorter, sometimes held to welcome guests, mark a season, or share a moment. A chagi is more formal and can be much longer. It may include a light meal, known as kaizaki, followed by thicker tea, and then thinner tea. it can unfold like a small day inside a day. A formal chaji begins with grounding. Kaiseki is not indulgence. It is moderation, small portions, seasonal ingredients, careful pacing. Food here is not distraction. It is a steady base, so the mind can be calm. After the meal, there can be a break. Guests return to the rogi. They wait. They let conversation soften. The room resets. Then comes charcoal soup. The host arranges charcoal in the hearth with practiced care. Not for spectacle, but for balance, airflow, heat, timing. Even fire is treated like a craft. Charcoal touching ash is a quiet, crisp sound. The host may place incense. The room becomes warm in a way you can feel in your knees. In many traditions, the heart of a chaji is thick koitia. Koitia is shared from one bowl among guests. It is dense, smooth, intense. Sharing one bowl makes the group unmistakably one unit, one circle, one rhythm. After koicha, the gathering often shifts into thin to yusucha is lighter, frothier. Individually served, it feels like breathing out after a long breath held. Koicha can be solemn. Yusucha can be gently joyful. Both are part of the same story. The tokonoma is often the spiritual center of the tea room. The hanging scroll kokomanoise, usually calligraphy. It might be bold or faint, but it is never accidental. A single phrase can act like a lens through which the entire gathering is seen. Sometimes the scroll is zen in tone, a reminder about emptiness, wind, impermanence, or awakening. Sometimes it is seasonal, snow, moon, blossoms, rain. Sometimes it is simply a word that carries weight, harmony, stillness, gratitude. The host chooses the scroll, like a musician chooses a key. It sets the emotional pitch. Below it, a flower-arranged matchabana may be placed. Chabana is intentionally simple. Often it looks like a flower that might still be growing outside. The aim is naturalness, as if nature entered the room briefly, then will leave. The flower teaches the same lesson as steam. The moment is passing even as you witness it. When guests admire the scroll and flower, they are not judging decor. They are entering intention. They are agreeing to share the theme. Tea rooms are intentionally small, not because Japan lacks space, but because smallness creates intimacy. A small room limits movement. It limits noise. It encourages awareness of where you place your hands and knees. It brings people close enough that you cannot ignore each other. Historically, certain items were left outside: shoes and even swords, not as symbolism only, but as a practical way to enforce peace. Inside, the room belonged to another logic: harmony, respect, and a shared commitment to the moment. The crawl-through entrance, the niziraguchi, makes that commitment physical. No one enters standing tall. Everyone bows. Everyone becomes equal for a moment, because the doorway forces equality. Inside, the tokonoma alcove quietly defines the gathering. A single scroll can change the entire mood. A phrase about wind can make you feel the season. A phrase about emptiness can make you notice your own mind. And the flower often placed, as if it were still growing, reminds the room. This moment is temporary. Matcha is powdered green tea. That means it behaves differently from leaf tea. It is not brewed and removed. It is suspended and consumed. You drink the leaf itself. That makes the experience direct. Texture matters. Water temperature matters. Whisking matters. Even tea bowl's shape can change how the surface looks and how the foam holds. Matcha is also unforgiving in a useful way. If you rush, it can taste harsh. If the water is too hot, bitterness becomes sharp. If you are careful, the bitterness becomes rounder, softer, almost sweet at the edges. Intisan Matcha teaches the same lesson as the ceremony. Presence improves the outcome. Tea is not moral, but it is honest. It gives you feedback, and because matcha is vividly and aromatic, slightly bitter, it wakes the senses. It makes the room feel brighter without changing the light. When guests are invited to examine utensils, they are not collecting trivia. They are learning how to recognize care. A bowl can tell you the season before anyone says a word. A winter bowl feels heavier in the hands, as if it is designed to hold heat and hold patience. A summer bowl feels lighter, sometimes wider, as if it is designed to let air move around the tea. You can feel the maker's decisions in the curve of the clay. You can feel the firing in the glaze. It's a tiny cracks, a map drawn by heat. And if the bowl is old, you can feel the soft polish where countless hands once held it. The object becomes a record of human attention. The whisk teaches another lesson. Humility can be precise. Bamboo is simple, renewable, ordinary, yet it can be split into dozens of fine tines and shaped into a tool that creates a perfect foam. The ceremony quietly suggests that refinement does not require extravagance. It requires practice. Even the tea scoop small enough to disappear in a palm has gravity. It measures the matcha, yes, but it also sets the rhythm of the host's movement. One scoop, then another. Like punctuation, the act is so small, and yet the room changes around it, because everyone is watching with the same intention. In tea, objects become teachers, not because they are worshipped, but because they are handled as if they matter. And when something is handled as if it matters, the people in the room start to feel that they matter too. In the tea ceremony, nothing is random. Every utensil has a role, a history, a voice. The bowl is called the chawan. It is the center of the experience. Guests hold it with both hands, feeling warmth through clay. The bowl carries season, texture, weight. Some bowls are thick and grounding for winter. Some are lighter for summer. Some are famous, with names and stories that follow them through generations. The Cheson bamboo whisk looks delicate, almost fragile, yet it creates the foam and texture that define the sound of whisking becomes part of the room's music. The shasuku is the bamboo tea scoop. Small, curved, elegant, it measures matcha with a gesture that is both practical and ceremonial. In some traditions, a chashaku may even have a name, like a poem captured in bamboo. The tea container natsum, or cherholdzama, lacquered or ceramic. It feels like a promise. Tea is being cared for. The fukusa is a silk cloth used for purification. Its folding is precise and not because the cloth needs it, but because the mind does. Folding becomes a way to enter the moment, a simple practice of control, calm, and readiness. And the komada iron kettle holds hot water, but it also holds time. Water changes slowly. Steam rises slowly, and the kettle song reminds everyone that warmth is a living process, not a button you press. In the tea room, objects are not replaced because they are old. They are valued because they have been used, because they have absorbed human care, because they carried traces of hands that came before. A tea room is quiet, but not empty. It is full of small signals. The way a guest places hands on knees, the way a host sets a bowl down without a thud, the way people avoid stepping on the borders of tatami, the way ice move from the scroll to the kettle, then settle. This quiet teaches something modern life rarely teaches: how to be in a shared space without filling it with noise. Silence in tea is not awkward. It is respectful. It is a form of listening to water, to breath, to the mood of the day. And because the silence is shared, it becomes safe. No one is singled out. No one is put on display. The room itself carries the social weight. Tea has roles, because roles prevent friction. The host is the caretaker of atmosphere. The host carries timing, temperature, and sequence, so guests do not have to. A good host is not trying to be impressive. A good host is trying to be invisible in the best sense, so that the guests feel cared for without feeling managed. The main guest, the shakyaku, supports the host. The main guest speaks when needed, asks about utensils, expresses thanks on behalf of the group. They guide the social flow so no one interrupts, no one steals attention, no one accidentally breaks the room's calm. Other guests participate by following the forums. They watch quietly. They move carefully. They accept the pace. In tea, silence is not passivity. Silence is contribution. This is one of TS's most humane lessons. A respectful gathering is not built by the loudest person. It is built by shared restraint. Imagine arriving on a winter afternoon. Your sleeves still carry the cold from outside. The garden stones are damp. The air smells faintly of moss and clean wood. You step slowly because the path encourages slowness. Not as a rule, but as a consequence. You do not want to slip, and you do not want to rush. At the waiting bench, you sit with the other guests. No one is performing silence. Silence simply arrives. A small sound, someone adjusting their knees feels louder than it would in any other room. Your attention begins to widen, like a camera pulling focus. When the host invites you forward, the movement is gentle. You approach the tea room and bow. You remove your shoes. You enter and feel the tatami under your knees, firm, textured, alive. The tokonoma is the first pause. The scroll is simple, maybe a single character that suggests wind or stillness or one. A flower sits below it, not arranged like a bouquet, but placed like a sentence. It does not shout, it points. You take your seat. The host enters without ceremony, and yet everything becomes ceremonial. Because the host's body is composed, because the host's pace is steady, because the room recognizes, almost instinctively, that the next hour is protected. The host begins to prepare. The fukusa appears, folded and unfolded with quiet precision. The tea container is purified. The scoop is purified. The bowl is rinsed and warmed. Water is ladled and returned. A lid is set down softly. So softly you begin to notice how loud normal life is. Then the matcha arrives in small green piles. The host measures it as if measuring time. 1 scoop. 2. A small decision with a large effect. How thick, how strong, how gentle. Hot water meets powder. The whisk moves rapidly. Steady, hand-controlled. For a moment, movement is the opposite of stillness. Then the foam appears, and stillness returns. The host turns the bowl and places it down. You bow, not because you must, but because the gesture feels appropriate. You lift the bowl with both hands. Warmth reaches your fingers. You turn the bowl, offering the front away from your mouth. A small act of respect that changes your posture, changes your mind. You drink. The taste is bitter first, then deep, then strangely soft. It is not sweet, but it feels complete. It tastes like green and earth and warmth. It tastes like attention. After the last sip, you wipe the rim and turn the bowl back. The bowl leaves your hands, and the room continues. The host's movements never rush. If the room needs more silence, the host allows it. If the room needs warmth, the host gives it. The ceremony is a kind of emotional thermostat. When it ends, it does not end loudly. It fades. You bow. You thank the host. You step back into the roge and notice the air again. The world outside is the same, but your mind is quieter inside it. That is the ceremony's secret. It does not create a fantasy. It creates a memory of presence you can carry. Think about what the ceremony is doing to the nervous system. It reduces choices. It reduces uncertainty. It creates predictable sequence, so the mind stops scanning for threats and distractions. In normal life, your attention is constantly pulled by noise, by obligation, by unfinished tasks. In the tea room, the sequence holds you. You do not need to decide what to do next. You only need to do the next small thing with care. And that is why the smallest sounds become vivid. The soft brush of cloth against lacquer, the brief click of a lid, the whisper of steam. It is not that the room is silent. It is that the room is uncluttered. There is space for sound to exist without competition. This is also why the ceremony can feel emotional even without sadness. When the mind slows down, you notice what you have been ignoring. Your own breath, your own tension, the gentle presence of other people. Tea does not force vulnerability. It creates conditions where vulnerability becomes possible. The tea ceremony is not one act. It is a sequence that builds a feeling. Guests enter with humility. Shoes are removed. The room's rules are accepted. Guests pause. At the tokonoma, the scroll is the theme, the emotional weather of the gathering. The flowers are seasonal and a leave-on, unspoken reminder of guests sit according to roles. creating order so the mind can relax inside the order. The host arrives with calm economy. The host's job is not to impress. It is to care so thoroughly that guests can forget themselves. Utensils are cleaned with deliberate motions. This is not only cleaning. This is beginning, a way to say, we are entering a different quality of time. Hot water is prepared. The kettle simmers. The lid. The ladle. The faint click of ceramic on tatami. Every sound matters. In the tea room, sound is not background. Sound is texture. Matcha is scooped with the chashitsu. One scoop, then another. The amount is small, but the gesture is full, because you are measuring a shared moment. Water meets matcha. The host whisks controlled. Quick foam rises. A green surface becomes a smooth field. Stillness is built through movement. The bowl is placed for the guest. The guest bows. The bowl is lifted with both hands. It is turned before drinking so. You do not drink from the honored front. Then the guest drinks in measured sips. Warmth spreads. Bitterness softens. It feels like waking up slowly. Utensils may be examined and appreciated. Guests may ask about the bowl's origin, the calligraphy, the flower, the gathering ends, not with applause, but with gratitude. And here is what many people miss. The guest is practicing, too. Bowing acknowledges effort. Turning the bowl teaches humility. Wiping the rim prepares the bowl for the next person. Moving carefully protects the room's calm. In a cafe, you purchase tea and consume it. In the tea room, you participate in tea. You help build the moment in real time. In a modern world built around individual portions, individual cups, individual screens, individual playlists, the shared bowl can feel radical. Koicha is not shared to be quaint. It is shared because the ceremony wants to teach unity through action. When one bowl passes from hand to hand, everyone must care about everyone else. The rim is wiped for the next person. The bowl is turned with respect. The pace is chosen by the group, not by a single personality. The bowl becomes a small social contract. We will move together. We will not rush. We will not take more than our turn. We will leave the next person a clean edge to meet their lips. If the tea ceremony teaches anything, it is that kindness can be built into structure. And koicha is structure made visible. Thick tea koicha changes the social physics of the room. Multiple guests share one bowl. The main guest receives it first, bows, turns the bowl, sips slowly, wipes the rim. Then the bowl moves to the next person. Each step is small. Together, they turn a group into a single unit. Koicha is also physically different. Thicker tea carries a deeper intensity. It rewards calm. If you rush, the texture suffers. If your hands tremble, the room feels it. Koicha becomes a lesson in mutual pacing. The group must move together. No one can force their speed onto others. The host's work is full of invisible judgments. How long has the kettle been singing? Is the water too lively, too hot, too aggressive? Should it rest for a moment to soften its edge? Should the tea be slightly thicker today because the air is cold? Should it be lighter because the day is already heavy? These are not questions a guest needs to answer. They are questions the host carries, so the guests can be free. This is the generosity of craft. You handle the complexity, so the moment can feel simple. And when you watch closely, you can see that calm is not a personality trait. It is an outcome. It is the product of preparation, repetition, and care. Tea is calm. You can practice. The ceremony looks quiet, but it is also practical. Water temperature matters. Too hot, and matcha turns harsh. Too cool, and it becomes flat. The host adjusts with small, nearly invisible choices. Timing, ladling, resting the water. Even the season changes the craft. In winter, warmth is a gift. In summer, coolness is relief. The host reads the day like weather and adjusts the room accordingly. Charcoal work matters for heat and timing. Calm requires preparation. Stillness is not accidental. Stillness is engineered by attention. There is a reason tea prefers the imperfect. Perfection invites comparison. Perfection invites anxiety. Perfection makes you afraid of a scratch, but an object that already carries irregularity invites you to relax. It tells you, life is allowed to be human. A bowl with a slightly uneven rim does not demand that your hands be flawless. A bamboo scoop does not demand that your life be polished. A flower that leans does not demand that you stand straight all day. Wabi-sabi is not a fashion aesthetic. It is emotional permission. And in a world that sells you impossible standards, permission is a kind of medicine. Many schools summarize the spirit of tea in 4 principles. Wa, harmony. Between people, objects, season, and space. Kai, respect, shown through posture, waiting, and listening. Sei, purity, physical cleanliness, and inner clearing. Jaku, tranquility, the calm that arrives after practice. These are not slogans. They are goals you return to like breathing. The tea ceremony's beauty often comes from what modern design tries to remove: irregularity. A bowl may be off center. A glaze may crackle. A bamboo scoop may show its grain. A flower may droop slightly as the hour passes. This is not sloppy. It is honest. Wabi-sabi recognizes that life is temporary and incomplete. Instead of hiding that truth, tea builds a practice around it. Tea does not promise happiness, it promises presence. Often, guests eat a small sweet wagashi before drinking matcha. This is not simply dessert. It is part of balance. Matcha is bitter and vivid. The sweet prepares the palate, softening the edge of bitterness. But wagashi also carries season and symbolism. A shape like a plum blossom, a color like autumn leaves, a texture that feels like snow. In tea, flavor is never only flavor, it is atmosphere you can taste. The sweet also creates a gentle pause, a moment when the room can settle before the bowl arrives. In that pause, you can feel the ceremony's deeper rhythm. Alternation, warm and cool, sweet and bitter. Sound and silence. Presence and release. The host chooses utensils, the way a storyteller chooses words. A winter gathering might use objects that feel older, darker, more grounding. A summer gathering might choose lighter tones, open shapes, the suggestion of water and breeze. A spring gathering might hint at beginning's freshness. Green, the promise of growth. Autumn might hint at reflection leaves, smoke, the sweetness of endings. Even the flower arrangement is not meant to dominate. It is meant to point, to gesture toward the world outside, then return you to the room. In tea, seasonality is not decoration. It is humility. It admits that humans are not the center of time. We are guests inside the year. Seasonality in tea is not decoration. It is alignment. In spring, the room can feel like beginning. In winter, the kettle's warmth feels necessary. In summer, lightness matters. In autumn, objects may be chosen for quiet weight and age. Even sweets wagashichen, with season, they prepare the palate for Mahasi's bitterness. They also carry atmosphere you can taste. Blossom, moon, snow, leaf. Tea teaches that time is not abstract. Time is weather, time is change. Because images of tea travel online, misconceptions grow. It is not only a luxury hobby for the wealthy. Some utensils are costly, yes, but the heart of tea is not price. Many practitioners learn with simple tools and simple rooms. The philosophy is often anti-ostentation, refinement without noise. It is not a frozen museum ritual. Tea changed over centuries. Rooms, materials, and social contexts evolve. What remains is the core idea. Attention as respect. It is not about perfect stillness. A tea room can include laughter. A tea room can include human awkwardness. The goal is not to erase personality. The goal is to make personality gentle soul. No one dominates the room, and it is not exotic theater. At its best, tea is practical kindness. It is a system designed to help people share time without friction. It is a way to turn an ordinary act drinking into a moment of mutual care. You do not need a tea room to learn from tea. Try this for 7 days. Make 1 cup of tea the same way each day. Chuse, a single cup. A single spot. Choose a single sequence. Boil water. Rinse the cup. Wait 10 seconds. Pour. Hold the cup with 2 hands. Take the first sip without looking anywhere else. Notice what happens. On day 1, you will feel impatient. Your mind will bargain. This is pointless. I should multitask. That is the training beginning. Tea is not fighting your mind. Tea is revealing your mind. By day 3, you may notice the kettle's sound. By day 5, you may notice the smell of steam. By day 7, you may feel the day soften for a moment, not because your life changed, but because your attention did. That is the portable part of tea, a repeatable way to return to the present. In modern life, the body is often treated like a machine. Maximize output, minimize pauses, keep going. But the nervous system does not work that way. It needs intervals. It needs warmth. It needs silence that is not empty, but safe. Tea offers a model for safe silence. Not silence as punishment, silence as care. This is why people who have never studied tea still feel something when they watch it. They recognize a missing ingredient in their own lives. A protected space where nothing is demanded except presence. The ceremony is not it is anti-constant. It is a reminder that you are allowed to stop. The tea ceremony survives because it still solves a human problem. Modern life fragments attention. Phones vibrate, schedules compress. Meals happen while scrolling. Conversations happen while half present. Tea offers a counter-skill, single tasking as a form of respect. You don't need a tea room to borrow the principle. Make 1 cup of tea without doing anything else. No phone, no music, no scrolling. Just water, steam, and attention. Notice how impatience shows up. Then choose 1 gesture to do carefully. Place the spoon down softly. Inhale once before the first sip. Attention is trainable. In a world that sells distraction, a small ritual can be rebellion, quiet rebellion. Tea is not asking you to become Japanese. Tea is asking you to become present. From the outside, etiquette can look rigid, but inside tea, etiquette is often a form of compassion. Turning the bowl as compassionate honors the front and acknowledges the host's choice. Wiping the rim is compassionate, prepares the bowl for the next person. Moving quietly is compassionate, protects the room's calm. Even the order of speaking has a purpose. It prevents people from talking over each other. It gives space to those who might otherwise be interrupted. In a respectful room, the loudest person does not win, the room wins. And when the room wins, people leave with dignity. The tea ceremony's rules are not there to control you. They are there to hold you, so that, for a short time, you can feel what a gentle world might be like. Students often discover that the hardest part is not memorizing steps. It is learning to move without impatience. The mind wants to jump ahead. It wants to finish the gesture so it can claim accomplishment. Tea keeps pulling the mind back. Right here, right now, right now. Over time, this becomes training. The body learns that slowness is not danger. The mind learns that waiting is not failure. And gradually, a new skill appears. The ability to be present without needing to be entertained. That skill is rare. And that is why tea feels precious. How long does it take to learn tea? A lifetime. Not because it is impossible, but because the goal is not just competence. The goal is refinement of attention. A student practices how to walk on tatami, how to sit without fidgeting, how to place an object down without noise. At first, it feels awkward. Then the forms become freeing. Form creates freedom. When you stop inventing behavior, you can focus on care. 1 time, 1 meeting. Even if you repeat the ceremony tomorrow, it will not be the same. Light changes, weather changes, someone's mood changes. Someone's life changes. Tea does not treat this as sad. Tea treats this as precious. If the moment will never return, then attention is not optional. Attention is the offering. When you leave the tea room, the world does not change, but you change. You notice sounds more clearly. You notice how quickly you usually walk. You notice how often you interrupt yourself, and you realize that calm is not something you stumble into by accident. Calm is something you build. Tea builds it with a kettle, a bowl, and a few practiced gestures. Not to impress, to care. And perhaps that is the deeper invitation. Treat one meeting as if it will never happen again, because it won't. There is a phrase often associated with tea, one meeting. This gathering will never happen again. Even if the same people meet tomorrow, the weather will change. The mood will shift. Someone will age one day. Tea treats this as sacred in a practical way. If the moment will never return, the moment deserves your full attention. Return to the kettle. Listen to its song. It does not rush. It simply continues steady. Warm, patient. Tea is a ritual of that patience. It turns ordinary actions into a container that can hold a life. It proves that respect can be quiet and tranquility can be practiced. If you could build a small ritual in your own life, one that helps you slow down and begin again, what would it look like? Write one word in the comments that you associate with calm and tell us where you're watching from. When the ceremony ends, nothing dramatic happens. No curtain falls. No music swells. People bow. They thank each other. They step back into the roji. Air touches the face again. Shoes return. The outside world continues. And yet, if the ceremony worked, you leave with a subtle change. Your senses are sharper. Your breath is slower. Your thoughts feel less crowded. The tea ceremony does not solve your life. It does something quieter. It reminds you what it feels like to be fully here. And once you remember here, you can notice how often modern life pulls you away from it. How quickly you rush. How rarely you listen. How easily you treat moments as disposable. Tea offers a different possibility. Treat one meeting as if it mattered, because it does. Treat one cup as if it mattered, because it does. And if you can do that once, you can do it again. The ceremony teaches that attention is a gift. It is given to objects, to people, to weather, to silence. When attention is given, the world becomes detailed again. A cup is no longer just a cup. A minute is no longer just a minute. Even a breath can feel like a beginning. Tea does not demand that you live slowly forever. It asks you to remember what a single undivided moment feels like, and to practice returning to that moment whenever life becomes too loud quietly. After tea, even the ordinary street can feel different. You notice a small patch of sunlight on concrete. You notice the texture of air before rain. You notice the way a stranger's footsteps have their own rhythm. The ceremony does not give you new information. It gives you back your senses. And maybe that is why the way of tea has lasted. Because human beings do not only need productivity, they need moments that remind them they are alive. Tea creates one of those moments using almost nothing. Water, leaf, heat, and attention. It is proof that meaning does not always arrive with spectacle. Sometimes it arrives with a bowl held in two hands.